aha moment that I. So I have two questions. How far were you into your marriage when you realized this was not your person? I don't think I married the right person.
How is that even possible? See, this is why, fellas, y'all gotta be careful out here, bro. Think about marrying a woman, right? Saying that this is who you're gonna live the rest of your life with, for better or for worse. And then she wake up one morning and say, "You're not my person. I change my mind." And what that is, that's what it's like when a bird is ready to return back to the streets, because a bird always return back to the streets. That's why the worst thing a man could do is marry a bird. That's a huge mistake. Damn, son.
How much longer did you stay after that realization? I'm going to answer first. March of 2020 is when I had the aha moment that I just knew I did not marry my spouse. I did not marry my husband. Now, just for
Yo,
some transparency, the
shit
signs
is
were there prior
crazy,
to me marrying this man, okay? The
bruh.
signs are always there when we are not aligning with the right person, okay? We are never left ignorant. We are never left without signs, okay? The signs are always there. Whether we choose to see them, acknowledge them or not, they are always there, okay? So the signs were there, but I, like many of us, not only was I ignoring them and I was also in denial, I was determined to make this work. I was determined that we.
Let me tell you about an app called Free Cash. Free Cash is the number one app worldwide, allowing users like yourself to make money off their phone for free. If you want to make $200 plus a week for free, download using my link in the description or the QR code on the screen. If you download now for free using my link or QR code, you will get a free $5 into your account for free. That's $5 for free, no requirements. So download Free Cash today to make easy, quick, and free money.
can make this work. Yeah, I see all the signs, I see all the red flags, I see all the things, but we can make this work. We can make.
This right here is so sad, bro. Because here's the thing about a woman, right? Damn near all women wants to be married one day. All women wants to be saved, even though some of them are for the streets, or let's say most of them, right? But even though they are hoes and they smashing a whole bunch of dudes, they believe that one day a sucker will save them, even if that means they are not into him. But if she's past her prime, what she's gonna be focused on is accomplishing the goal of becoming a wife. That will be priority. And the thing about that is she's gonna choose whoever is willing to marry her. So even though she's not into you, she will still become your wife. That's how dangerous these birds are. That's why it's like, yo, you can't get caught up in a bird game. That's why I tell you all dudes all the time, yo, you gotta pay attention to the signs, because the signs are always there, bro. Facts. You gotta know a woman's motive. What is her motive? Oh, you trying to find a sucker because you want to be a wife, but you've been a hoe all your life, but now you want to be a wife. Ah, and you're gonna need a sucker to accomplish that. And obviously, this guy was this chick's sucker.
Make this work. I was definitely trying to fit a square peg into a circle. That was me. I was gonna make it work. This was gonna be my husband. This was gonna be my man. We're going to make it work. Okay. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. Don't ever ignore
Shit
all the
is
red flags,
crazy.
all the warning signs, and try to force something to work that is not meant for you. Don't do that. So now let's go back to March of 2020. March of 2020, our son is about 2 days old because we are heading to his first doctor's appointment, right after we had him, that little first initial doctor's appointment. We're going to the doctor's. I'm in the back seat with the baby. He's driving. I'm sitting directly behind him. Nothing happened that day. That day was a perfectly normal, fine day. We didn't argue. There was nothing that happened that triggered this feeling, right?
Yo, it's just crazy how these women feels like this after they had a baby with a man. Like, she's ready to return back to the streets to be a single mother. She's about to leave her family. That's how bad it is with a bird, man. Even if you plant a seed in a bird, man, she's still finna make her way back to them streets, bruh. No matter what you do, a bird gonna make her way back.
So I'm sitting behind him, and I just remember having this cold, intense feeling come over me. As this cold feeling comes over me, I'm also just looking at him. It's like all of a sudden my perception of him is like changed. It's as if like the veil finally
Yo.
came off.
Nah,
The
bruh.
mask, the blinders, like everything was just being removed. And it was just like I just finally like seen him for who he was and who he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point I realized, oh, this is not my husband. I did not marry my husband. I can't describe the feeling. It wasn't like it was
Yo.
just like this strong inner knowing, like
This shit
internal
is
voice. I
crazy.
can't describe it, but I just remember like feeling, knowing, just having this all knowing that like, this is not my husband. I did not marry my husband. At this point, March of 2020, we were a year and a half into our marriage. A year and a half into our marriage, all of a sudden I just start crying, but I was crying a silent cry. I'm talking about wailing, but silently. He didn't even know.
The streets was calling, bro. See, like when the streets is calling these birds, bro, it's it's a sad thing to witness. Because all of a sudden she's gonna start acting funny. She's gonna stop pretending to be nice. It's sad, bro.
I was back there crying. I'm talking about tears are pouring down my face, pouring out my eyes. I am crying hysterically,
Streets.
silently. He does not hear this happening, okay? I did not want him to hear this happening because, again, I
Mm-mm-mm.
just did not want to have to explain to him while we have our 3-day old baby, um, you're not my husband. So I'm silently just,
What? 3-day old baby. This is what I'm saying, bro. Now she about to return back to the streets after she just created a broken home.
and I never said nothing. But I also knew that I wasn't in a position to just leave. 2 weeks later, the whole world locked down, shut down. Okay. My son was born March 6th of 2020. We went into lockdown about a week and a half to 2 weeks later. The whole world changed. We didn't know what was going on at that time, what COVID was. I don't even think they had the name for it. They might have, but we, as a world, we were just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. It was just a crazy, scary time. And I just had a realization that the man that I'm married to and just had a baby with is not my husband. I'm also a stay-at-home mom now at this point. And so it's like I felt stuck. I felt stranded. I felt like what I'm what I'm gonna do? Where I'm gonna go? So once again, I was in a position where I felt like I gotta make it work. I gotta make it work. So to answer the second part of the question, I end up staying after having that realization for 3 more years. It wasn't until March of 2023 that I was finally like, I'm done. I'm done. And when
Think about that, right? Your wife checked out 3 years ago, you have no idea. You thinking life is going smooth. You wake up every day, you go to work, and bust your ass to provide for your family, thinking you're doing the right thing. This is what life is about. But whole time, you married a bird. And before a bird return back to the streets, she makes sure she destroys you. She makes sure to drain your energy and power up on a low. While you're thinking everything is cool, you're thinking this is my loving wife because she's pretending. When you see her, she's smiling, she's hugging you. You're thinking everything is normal, but whole time she's playing you for a fool. She's now using you to return back to the streets. She's using you to power up to return back to the streets while you're lost. This is how these women tamper with men emotions. These are the type of games these women play because they think it's okay. It's crazy.
When I tell you from March of 2020 to March 2023, that man took me through it. When I tell you I suffered, when I tell you my life was miserable, okay? It was the most miserable 3 years of my life. I literally felt like I was living hell on earth, okay? And when I look back, I feel like that realization that I had in that car was also a warning for me to get the hell out because it was like everything got so bad after that. And then I realized too, I became a very performative wife because I knew that this wasn't my husband for real. So it was almost like because the veil had been removed from my eyes, my blinders had came off, and I was seeing this man for who he was the whole time. Um, it was hard for me to deal with him and interact with him the same, you know? And so I became very performative because I'm now in survival mode. I'm just trying to get through, you know, and I don't have a plan. I don't know how long I'm trying to get through. I don't know, you know, also dealing with PPD, postpartum. I don't want to say the D word on here because I know TikTok can be sensitive and I don't want them to flag this video, but also dealing with PPD the entire next 3 years. So that really didn't make it any easier. But guys, I literally stayed for 3 years after realizing that this man was not my person. And I went through so much. Things that I went through, I should have never experienced had I just left sooner. And I know this is a lot of us women's stories where we are in situations in our marriages where it's just not easy for us to just pack up and leave, especially when you're a stay at home mom. Looking back, I wish I would have at least made some preparation to leave eventually. I felt so hopeless, so helpless. I just felt like I just kind of surrendered to it, you know, and I just felt like this is just it. I married this man, so now I just basically told myself, you just got to suffer through. You got to suffer through, and that's what I did. And I'm forgiving myself for doing that because I wish I had the mental capacity, the emotional strength to just leave. I should not have went through the things I went through over the course of that 3 years. I should not have. I subjected myself to things that truly could have been avoided. When I tell you it was so detrimental and so traumatizing being with that man after that point, it truly was traumatizing and detrimental. Okay. So to wrap this up, it was a year.
Look, here's the thing, right? When a woman is not into a man, anything that that man does will be very annoying to that woman. She can't stand your voice. She can't stand you breathing. So when a woman says, I've been through hell for the past 3 years, it's simply because she was eager to return back to the streets, but she couldn't afford to return back to the streets. So now it's like, "Ah, I gotta put up with this sucker for 3 years. Ah!" That's the hell she's talking about. The fact that she gotta be with a man that she don't like. Fellas, see, this is what I tell you all dudes all the time, bro. The cycle of a bird is always the same. A bird will reach a certain point in her life when the streets ran through her and she's battered and bruised and she gotta heal. When a bird is in her healing process, she gotta find a sucker to power up to drain his energy. But once that bird is powered up, best believe she's gonna return back to the streets. And the thing about these birds is they don't mind having a child from anybody. Because the thing about a bird only cares about herself truly. Genuinely, a bird is very selfish. So she's not thinking about the fact that she had a child with this man and now the child about to be raised without a father. She's thinking about her. She's like, yo, mama gotta have a life too. That's the mindset of a bird, fellas. Look, let's be wise out here, man. For real. This is what you
Yo, imagine him in a hospital room with you, and the baby's coming out.
Fellas, again, focus on yourself. That's what it is.